Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 227. I am your host, Keith Andrew, and this is the Keith Andrew Network. I am here as the talented and beautiful Ms. Daisy, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, for people who want to know what, I almost said uncensored, well, the theme of the show is uncensored, as in freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. But people who want to know what the KeithAndrewNetwork Network is, it's basically my way of showing people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, that you should never give up and you should prove to people you can still amount to something. Now, it's a half hour, 45 minutes every time. You can get up, walk around, show us your place if you want to. It's basically whatever you want to do. So you don't have to be stationary. So if you're thirsty, you can get up and get a drink. You can tell me to shut up, and so I got right back.
Because I needed my water.
So it's pretty much, you're supporting a good cause and you're making a new friend out of it. So it's a win-win.
Awesome. I'm always down for that.
Now, starting off, I'm going to ask you some easy questions. Then we can go to the hard-hitting ones. So starting off, what can you tell us about yourself growing up? And when you were in high school and college, were you a study nerd, party animal, and did you do any sports?
Okay, wow. So tell you about myself now, today. Well, I am an entertainer / entrepreneur, performer / entrepreneur, if there was a way to do it. My main profession is modeling, and my business is media and content. And what's unique about myself and what I do is that I didn't go the traditional route, or I stopped going the traditional route, and I kind of made everything vertical. So I don't work with I don't depend, I guess is the best, but I don't depend on the traditional industry model of agencies and waiting to be hired for something or going out to auditions and everything. Everything is pretty much integrated into my business. And so I pretty much work here in my studio every day, which I can give you a tour of a little bit later. When I was in high school, I don't think I was either a study nerd or a party animal. First of all, I was underage for being being a party animal, but I did have a really balanced life, I think, in high school. Prior to high school, though, my life wasn't that balanced. But right before high school, I was adopted by my paternal grandmother, and she really allowed me to explore a lot of things, but also was very adamant about academics and career goals, but also exploring different things. So, like modeling, and that's really how it started. So I did get to go to, as a kid, they had like these high school or like underage nightclubs for teenagers in Connecticut, where I went to high school, and so I was allowed to go to those with supervision. So I could go with my friends, but my grandmother would always drive us and pick us up. And literally, it was like 18 and under nightclubs, and it was like from like 6 p.m. or like 8 p.m. to 10. So it wasn't even like a really big deal, right? And then she would sit out in the parking lot and read a book while we were inside pretending to be adults and dancing and things like that. And of course, there was no alcohol or anything. And the funny thing is that when we would come out of the nightclub or whatever, the teen club, I guess you can call it, she would be like, I saw a guy go in there that looked way older than 18. He should not have been in there. Did he take it? So we were like always grilled. And then I had a lot of extracurricular activities outside of school. So that weren't actually, it's kind of interesting because they were not school related, or none of my friends were into the same things I was into. So I went to ballet in New York. I went to finishing school on the weekends, and other I say this kind of funny, like adult learning things, like things that I was interested in. So I was interested in real estate and business and stuff, and stock market. And so I took like all these classes or like programs that were offered at community colleges or something, not really in line with what my grandmother, with what my peers were doing at all. So that was pretty much my teenage years. A little different, I think, than most. Not very typical, but all the same, it was it was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the next question I was going to ask you was, did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or are you not a human pyramid person?
Human pyramid?
Right.
I don't think I've ever heard of this before. A human pyramid. What is that?
It's basically, a lot of people refer to it as cheerleading, but a lot of people,
Oh, were they the cheerleaders pile up on? No, you know what? So one thing I never got to do, I always, when I was a kid, and like, yeah, a kid, before I hit my teen years, I wanted to be a cheerleader. So my mom never let me be a cheerleader. And like my friends in school or all the cool girls were cheerleaders. And so I never got a chance to be a cheerleader. And then by the time I went to live with my grandmother, I had outgrown that. I didn't really want to be a cheerleader because something happened. Somehow I was somehow modeling became more serious. And so that's like all I wanted to do. And that's all I was doing. So I never got a chance to be a cheerleader. And probably, fortunately, I didn't get a chance. It's probably a good thing because I would not have been very graceful in that respect, I don't think.
oh, you're beautiful, so I think you can pull it off.
Well, thank you, but I think like cheerleading, it's just like with the acrobatic stuff and the coordination, it was just a little bit much for me.
Right.
I can be very graceful in independent individual sports, but not in like team sports. It's just too much coordinating of people and bodies all over yeah. So I've been a little bit too afraid of somebody falling on me or something. I would have probably broken a leg, you know.
Or cause a pile up.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, yeah, I would have been a little bit intimidated by that. So I never got the chance to be a cheerleader. Um, do I regret that? No, not really. I just, you know what? I just buy myself a cheerleader, costume off of Amazon, and then I can wear it to work, and then I'm happy.
Well, would you ever be interested in doing a human pyramid just for fun?
um, Nope. Now, no. Now I'm a little bit afraid of heights. I've just recently discovered that I have a fear of heights. So for example, my studio was on the ninth floor,
Right.
and I tried to hang some curtains, and which means that I have to buy a ladder to get on the ladder. And at first, I just tried to like stand on a chair, but I have to stand close to the edge of the window, and I really got sick. Like I got nauseous, and I was like all nervous and neurotic, and yeah. So I got down, and those curtains have not gone up. So yet, I now have a fear of heights, and I don't know where exactly that came from because I don't remember having that when I was younger. So I'm taking a break on that.
Well, the pyramids I was talking about is basically not. A lot of people refer to it as you're cheerleading when you hold the person up, but I'm talking about when you actually climb on top of the person. I give you a perfect example. I don't know. You're hanging out with a bunch of your friends, and you're a bunch of girls are kneeling, and then you kneel on top, and then like you do a pyramid. Not like the standing ones, but there's also like the small ones.
The kneeling ones? If I felt like my friends were dependable, if I felt like they were strong, they worked out and yeah, we could hold each other up and everything, then I would be cool. And because I don't want to fall. And also, if I was on the bottom of the pyramid, I wouldn't want like my partner to not be able to, the girl next to me to be able to like hold it up, and then I'm like carrying all the weight. Yeah.
I love that stuff. I'm a loser.
No, you're not at all. But that's really cool. It's kind of fun. I can imagine it's more fun to watch than it is to do.
That's true.
For sure.
On the next, well, if you had to do one, where would you want to be? Top, bottom, or middle? I know you say you don't like heights, so I guess the middle, right?
No, I'd have to be at the top. Um, that's the problem. See, this is the irony in it. If I had to do one, I definitely would have to be on top because I wouldn't want anybody standing on top of me or kneeling on top of me. So I would definitely have to be on top. But I think that's mainly ego driven more than it is actually like has any kind of real representation. It's just like I don't want to be down while somebody else is getting up. Which is really lame, but that is exactly what I would be thinking. I would be. Are we allowed to curse in this?
Yeah, you say whatever you want.
It would be like this bitch is on top of me. No, that would. Yeah, no, I would. Too many things would be going on in my head about that. I'd be like, yeah, no, I'd have to be the one on top. But I'm afraid of heights, so I think that's also a metaphor for life. Like how we move up in life, right? Everybody wants to be on top, but no one. If you're afraid of heights, how are you going to be on top? Yeah.
It'll also make it more for our comedies. Actually, we should definitely work on that if you're interested. Just doing it like for a comedy skit. He said,
funny.
"This bitch is on top of me." Well, at least I'm not happy like a cow. Or you're just insulting each other. Make it more fun because no one has ever done that before.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So that's an idea we can always work on.
For sure.
But now the next thing after I've just embarrassed myself because I don't usually tell people I love pyramids because I have enough problems with my learning disability. But I really like you, so that's why I'm just gonna open up. And also, it's my way to flirt with the girls too.
That's all right. It's all right.
I know I said I flirt with you a lot, so again, I am very professional, but I have no filter. So anyway.
Here's the thing. Like, nothing is wrong with flirting, right? It's just like the intention behind it. I think like it's totally okay and it's natural to flirt and to be playful or whatever. It's just that I think we're a little bit like in society conditioned to not want to unlace ourselves.
Right.
We just want to be all like buttoned up and perfect. And human people aren't like that. We're not really like that anyway. So. It's always good to crack a joke and make somebody laugh. And
I give you a perfect example. I used to work over at Target, and I was ringing up this cute girl like yourself, and I said, "Oh, you really are gorgeous. Are you like a supermodel or something?" It's like, no. And she walked away, and I said, before she walked away, "Look, I have a learning disability. I'm sorry. I was just flirting with you." "Oh, don't worry about it." I turned around. My boss is standing right behind me like, "So you're a supermodel, huh? Well, first off, settle down, boy. And second of all, you're going a little too much." Like, well, no one ever taught me how to flirt with a girl.
Yeah. It's okay. I mean, like, different people flirt differently. Like my boyfriend, like when he first started flirting with me, I mean, he didn't do it like every other guy does it, right? And that's totally okay. I mean, that's what it worked. Look, it worked. So then it's like, well, sometimes what guys think works doesn't really work. It's always the exception, the extraordinary, the weird, the different.
Right.
Think that worked. My boyfriend wasn't. He was not. He just was very, very different about it. Actually.
Well, it's nothing wrong with being different. If everyone was the same person, it would be pretty boring.
It would be pretty boring. It would be very.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you before passing over the show is, how did you start your own company? How did you become a model? And how did everything that you went through by going from college and do the modeling in it, like I mentioned, to creating your own company, how did all that fit together to get to where you are right now? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I started modeling because when I was a little girl, this is like, I'll go like way back. Like when I was a little girl, I just remember my mom had cut out an ad out of the newspaper, and it was like the Wilhelmina model search, like your cutest baby or something. And she had stuck it on the refrigerator, and she was going to take me and my sister, I think, at that time. And then, but she never did. And it stood there, stood there, stood there. So then some time goes by and it kind of stuck in my head. It was just there. And then I used to watch like fashion TV and stuff, but I didn't really have any like real life comprehension of what it was or anything. And then a couple of years later, when I went to go live with my grandmother, so for a little while in between, I lived in a foster home, and when I was in a foster home, there was a modeling school, like literally across the street, and in this like shopping strip, like a shopping mall strip, and so I went in there. And I was like, oh, I want to do this. And the lady was like, oh, well, this is how much classes cost and so forth and so on. So obviously I went back to my foster mom and she was like, yeah, no. And we don't have money for that. And then so shortly after that, I was adopted by my paternal grandmother. And when I got off of the airplane and she was there to pick me up and she says, like literally it was just like this. She goes, oh, we're taking you to New York. We're taking you to an agency. Like it was just like that. And it was like just like that. And I swear like the next week, like I was going to like an open call and then I was like going to dance school and then I had a coach and things like that. So it was literally like that quick. And that first summer I spent taking classes and I started going to finishing school and stuff like that. Then after then I spent my whole like high school going to New York and going to school, going to New York, going on castings and everything, and into college, and then my career started going and stuff. But it wasn't until I moved to California that I really saw the possibility of like having a business, or it became conscious. So I went through a lot of like different jobs when I came to California. I didn't come here to stay. It was just, I'm originally from New York, by the way. So in Connecticut. So, I didn't come to stay. But a friend of mine took me to her agency and then I just started working right away and I stayed. And then I kind of like wanted to transition into fitness. I tried working at a gym and then a couple of different things happened. And then somehow I got it in my head that I felt like there was nothing else for me to do in modeling and I was going to open up an agency or a modeling school or something like that. So like Barbizon, for example. And then I wasn't really in a position to do that and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I mean, that was the first time I had the thought that what if you really think it, if you really believe it, manifestation, I guess you could say, that it's going to happen. So, I mean, like, I just feel like in this time, like, I just really manifested that because it just, one after the other, it happened. I was recruited by a former Miss America, and that's how I got into pageants. And I got sent to China to represent Jamaica, and then I got sent to a couple of other countries to represent Jamaica, and that started a whole career, an additional career.
Domino effect.
Huh?
A domino effect.
A domino effect, exactly. And so then I was able to open my school, and this happened like in a very short period of time. Then I was able to open up my agency in my school, and I was still very young. I was like barely 25. I opened my doors the day I turned 25. So I was still like really, really young. And then I did that for a couple of years. And then I was like, okay, well, this is not somewhere I want to stay forever. I don't like desk jobs. I learned that about myself. I didn't like sitting at a desk all day. I liked being active. I liked being in front of the camera. I liked performing. And I would look at other agents and other managers and realize, like, man, they don't age very well. And I didn't want that. I mean, I didn't want that to be me. So I decided that I had this idea that I wanted to go into content, but I wanted to go into digital content. And so I was like on MySpace making videos and posting them, making my own commercials, setting up my own like websites, which at that time affiliate marketing didn't really exist. or it wasn't fully digitalized. And so setting up my own like landing pages and then driving traffic from one site to another site and starting from like social media and driving traffic. And I had no technical knowledge of what I was doing at all. I wouldn't even consider myself a techie. I just had a Mac and some cameras and knew the process. And then, and then there's always in life where things happen. So I got meningitis, and that could have kind of put a damper on things. And I kind of lost a lot of time, a couple of years, in fact. And in that time, I realized that I was a little bit ahead of the curve with what I wanted to do and where like the rest of the world was. So in that time, like everything caught up. So YouTube came, Facebook, a lot of other things happened. The techies made everything possible. So by the time I came back got back on track with what I wanted to do and how it would work, all the tools were there, which I found very intimidating and a little bit behind. And it took me a couple of years to get back on track and to figure out like monetization opportunities and to not feel like I was the only one. I think like when people go through something that's traumatic, or when you have a learning disability and you have an idea, a lot of times you can feel like you're alone, like you're the only one thinking these thoughts and you're the only one having these ideas. And especially in a career like mine where everybody, the flock, is going this direction. They're going over here. They're waiting for some big deal from some big studio or some big magazine or somebody else. And literally I'm just like over here doing my own thing. And people are like, she's crazy. This is never going to work. She's going to die and starve. And you find your way, but it's also very lonely and it's also very scary. And that's where I really learned about like finding your tribe, finding your people that can identify with your thoughts and kind of help you and give you ideas and relate to you and show you some things that you don't know. And one of those people, like my boyfriend, is very tech savvy and very into media and understands, more than anything, understands the future. And so when I have some ideas and I'm like, I believe this is where content is going. And this is where technology is going in terms of content, and these things are not going to go away, and this is completely sustainable moving forward, then and I can have someone that can identify with those thoughts and can ask me ask me to give proof about why I believe that it's that way, and but also can understand where my train of thought is coming from. And so that's really important, and that kind of keeps you going, and that's pretty much how I ended up with the studio. I started this company going a couple years ago. I was going through a divorce, and I said, well, this is what I want to do. This is my next step, and I'm going to start in a coffee shop. And so literally, coffee shops are all the trend now. So I would shoot at my friend's house or shoot outside in the park or shoot wherever, actually, even if it wasn't like perfectly legal, and then deliver my projects, while I was at the coffee shop, do my administration at the coffee shop, go pull clothes from clients and then shoot them in the back of their stores or whatever it was, and then work overnight retouching, uploading, and stuff like that. And then within like 6 months, I was able to move into a studio, and I'll give you guys a tour. And here now is where I do all my work. But the story doesn't stop there, every day is not perfect. There's always something that needs to be improved. There's tough months, there's good months, there's bad months. It's not just like this is the rainbow or this is the journey and this is where it ends and now everything is kumbaya. Honestly, before this interview, I was like 10 minutes, luckily I live across the street from my studio, so 10 minutes before our interview, I was like running across the street to get here, and then, just get started. And it's not like, it doesn't look like an Instagram feed in real life. So it's not like Daily Dose, which is a very popular Instagram feed, where it's like a lot of the Wolf of Wall Street quotes and really glamorized, beautiful imagery, which is very aspirational. But outside of Instagram, this is what I look like. My hair is wet right now. I don't have on much makeup at all. My makeup beauty table is a mess, and I've got like a shitload of work to do. So it's there's a difference in perception of what it looks like to achieve something or to grow, and the perception, the aspirational side of it, and then there's the reality of it. And sometimes that reality is more messy than the Instagram feed.
No, absolutely. Personally, if you were single, I would love to marry you because you're the total package. You're smart, you're beautiful, and then that's throwing it out there.
Oh, thank you. I don't know. It's not. Everybody has something, Everybody has something, and even if you are what I guess like society sees as the full package, you're not for everybody. Right? You're not for everybody. And that's one thing that I always keep in my mind, especially living in a city like LA, where beauty is a dime a dozen here. It is a city that is full of beautiful women, and a lot of them have their shit together. It's like common here. It's like every day here that women have their shit together. So the bar is much higher in a city like Los Angeles, because what would work, even in New York, where women don't play in New York, it's not an easy, women are not easy in New York. First of all, you got weather, it's cold, so you got to be able to support yourself through the winter. Maybe the beauty game is not as tough because it is a four-season city, and it doesn't have Hollywood. The beauty game is very tough here, and so is the money game. So you always have to have that like illusion of the soft filter, the perfect glamour. It's life, and that's not real all the time. But we live in a city that has a beautiful filter over it. It's like soft focus. It's like soft focus for the rest of the world, which makes it very, very hard to sustain. And but thank you so much. It's just that everywhere, it's just a perception.
No, absolutely. I apologize. I wasn't hitting on you.
No.
But you talk about the total package. I'm loyal. I'm sweet. Jokingly, I'm housebroken. So sweet, loyal, housebroken. But I'm still looking for the right one.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is that who wants to marry me or go out with me because I have a learning disability?
Well, what is your learning disability?
I'm pretty much like you, except for I'm a guy, apparently. And it's more mental than anything. I suffer with depression. I learn at a slower pace. Like, I give you a perfect example. If you would say, okay, read this book, and it's 10 pages or whatever, it's like, okay. But for me, you would have to sit down and go over it, 2 to 3 times with me, so it sinks in. So it takes longer for me to comprehend something. But besides that, I'm capable of doing what you're doing. I can't drive. So
neither can I.
So we're in the same boat.
Same boat.
So, but, it's pretty much I learn at a slower pace. And I was labeled as mentally challenged, mentally disturbed, retarded. And so it's like, you label me with all these things? Fine. I'm going to show you, even with these labels, I can still amount to something. And I created my own talk show. And thanks to you, we're up to 227. And I'm doing the best I can, even though people like to put me on a leash. I give you a perfect example, then I promise to pass the show over to you. And I will shut up on my part. Basically, here's the leash, and here's me. So I'm gonna go. So when you have all this freedom, it's like, okay, we gave you all this freedom, let's see what you do with it and make sure you don't hang yourself with it. And that's number one. Or the glass ceiling scenario is what I came up with. Just the second one is I'm only gonna go as high as you want me to go. And when I start, like the doors, once they start breaking on through to the other side, you're guys are like, okay, well, is he ready? Is he capable? Is he coherent enough to live on his own and do everything that's supposed to be? Because I got people saying to me, I do stupid things, or I'm ending up in a group home. People don't want to deal with me because I'm a burden. And so I'm trying to beat the status quo, or labels, or just people like to micromanage me. And I guess when you were growing up, people were micromanaging you at some point or one way or another. So I'm trying to say and do, but I'm capable of doing what other people's doing, but it's got to be scaled back. So for you taking a big leap. If for me to do a big leap, it's usually 2 steps behind. If that makes any sense.
Got it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bitch to you. I apologize.
No, you're not bitching to me at all. I think that we all have, well, first, I really believe that we all have our pace of learning, right? Everybody does not learn at the same pace, and there are people that aren't labeled, I don't know, slow or retarded or whatever, and learn much slower, right? It's just that for whatever reason they weren't diagnosed or categorized as something. And then there's people that learn like super fast. I mean, it doesn't mean that you go through life not making mistakes.
Right.
It doesn't mean that me being functioning, right, that I go through life without making mistakes and maybe more mistakes than you would ever make, right? I think these definitions sometimes that we give people, or these labels that we give people, are really like unwarranted. Like I have a lot of friends that have autism, and they're high functioning autism, and I think they're the greatest people. They're the great. I mean, honestly, like I have male and female friends that have autism and Asperger's, and they're like the greatest people like ever. I don't know why. Like I just naturally, I attract people with Asperger's actually a lot, and so it's kind of funny because it's like a magnet, and I don't see the problem, right? I don't see that at all. It's just like unless somebody tells me, like somebody else has to tell me, and I'm like, oh, okay, well that was nice, and then I just move on. So I think you're doing great, and I don't know like much about your situation or whatever, but I mean, you have a talk show, which is pretty awesome. I don't even have a damn talk show, so I don't have one. And I think that's fantastic, and you're consistent with it. You produce it on a regular basis, and on most days, I can barely produce a blog post on a regular basis. So you're doing better than me.
Hey, you help me, I help you. You there for me, I'm there for you. I'm a good person and a good friend. Wrapping up. For the last 6 minutes left, I'm going to pass the show back over to you. But you did hint towards showing us your place, and actually after the show I do have a lot of questions for you. But did you want to give us a tour of your place? You don't have to at anything.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so, well right now I'm at my desk, and I always find this little dude, I'm going to take my laptop. I'm at my desk where I work, so this is pretty much like my entire desk area here. So I've got like the L-shaped desk, and behind here is my one room, my studio. So that's my front door that you're seeing, nice. And my little snack cart. And then so behind my desk is a window, and you can see the city of downtown Los Angeles, the skyline. So I've got a great view of the skyline downtown. And then in the other room, so it's like a split. It's 2 studios put together. And behind me is my makeup table, which you can see is really messy right now. And wardrobe rack. We use this wall to build sets, so to build backgrounds. So on this wall, and then my green screen, some lights is all on the back wall. And then we've got this couch that looks over the other skyline. Yeah, this is kind of fun. This is the other skyline of downtown, so I get to see like all the other lofts and the cityscape, and I get to see those people, the lovely patio they have on the rooftop over there.
So you can spy on your neighbors.
Yes, they probably spy on me too, so I think we're pretty even. So it's about 750 square feet in here. Concrete floors, so like warehouse style. And it works for, shooting the kind of content that I shoot. YouTube, product shots for clients and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. It's been doing the job for like a little over a year now. And so hopefully I'll just keep going and be able to expand and all that stuff.
No, absolutely. And while you were doing the tour, I saw a couple pictures being on your website, but you have the sass. So
yeah,
were you Miss America?
So Miss Jamaica. So I represented Jamaica, as I mentioned earlier, in pageants, pretty much throughout like Asia and Southeast Asia. So I was in China, Japan, Philippines, Malaysia, representing Jamaica in international pageants, and also in the U.S. I did a few. So that's where I spent a good majority of my 20s, like 24 to like 30, 34-ish, competing in pageants, so 10 years. So I've got all my sashes decorated on my wall. It's, just to create a good environment, reminds you of like where you got your start and, all that good stuff. It's great wall art.
Well, you look terrific. I didn't know you were 34, but I knew I'm only 20. I'm only 28. Oh, go ahead.
I'm 36 now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just turned 36. I don't even remember my birthday, May 21st. So, getting closer to 40 every day.
Same. I'm in the same boat. In 2 years, I'm gonna be 30.
Wow. Well, 30. You're just getting started.
Well, if there's any life experiences you want to share on me, tell me what to do and don't. But actually, we're all wrapping up. We have 2 minutes left. Was there anything you wanted to ask me? Was there any subjects you wanted to talk about?
Well, I definitely want to hear what you've got to say about your projects and what you wanted to talk about. So we can definitely do that afterwards or what have you. So do you live by yourself, or what's your...
I live at home.
Okay, awesome. With your parents?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. And so that is preferable to living in like somewhere else, right? Like you mentioned earlier, like in a home or a group home or something.
I really don't like, they make idle threats to me because it's like, oh, well, if you do something stupid, I do things on a daily basis that's stupid. Not deliberately. I'm not like, what stupid things can I do today? Just like, oh, if you do anything ridiculous, I'll give you a perfect example. When I first started my talk show, they said if anyone shows up, if the cops show up at the door, your ass is on the street, and we're going to put you in a group home. So every time they get annoyed at me, that's their excuse. That's what they like to scare me with.
Got it.
But, go ahead.
The scare factor.
Yes.
Got it.
I'm the youngest out of 4 brothers and 1 sister. And once again, I had to move my set. Originally, I was facing to my right. If you saw my last interview or so, I was facing the door. My brother's moving in. He gave a long story about that. So behind me, there's got to be a bed. And maybe you want to hang out one day, then I'll have a bed for you. But I'm doing the best I can, it's a disability. And my mom's supportive. I guess it's a woman thing. But women are always going to be supportive of their child. But everyone else, they just kind of thumb their nose on it. Yeah, well, once you get married, hey, once you start making money on it, then, it's something to brag about. But right now, you're into people in your room. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can. I used to use LinkedIn until there were a bunch of idiots. They turned off my account for no reason. Long story about that. I use Facebook. I use Twitter. I use Stage 32. I use a lot of websites. I promote myself. I advertise myself. And, I would love to work with you. And while on the subject, would you be interested in working with me? And what I'm doing, will that fall under the category of people you work with? Or what people need to do to work with you?
So it depends on like the project by project basis. So I don't really have any specific criteria. I like to know what it is that what people's goals are with their content, and what specifically they need. Like for your show, what do you think you need help with? And or what areas do you want to take your show that you feel like I would be able to help you with that? And that's the main. I mean, that's the main important thing, because there is no with this business, there is no spreadsheet, right? There's no systematic way of doing it. So it's just on a case by case basis.
There's no in between, right?
There's no what?
In between.
Yeah, there's no a systematic process, right? So it's not like everybody that has a site or a blog or a YouTube channel, they go through this process to make their channel great or successful, and that's it, right? It's just there's always something. It's always different. Everybody's channel, all my channels are monetized differently. There's no cut and paste process to it.
No, absolutely. I don't mean to cut you short, but I do have an interview at 4. Wrapping up the interview segment, I'm going to ask you one last hard-hitting question. Mm-hmm. When I first approached you, what was your honest opinion of me? And after being interviewed, how do you feel now?
When you first emailed me on Stage 32, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. At first, when you were, this is what I thought. You gave me the right amount of information that I needed to make a decision about whether I would do your show or not, which is the most important thing. You didn't say, hey, do you want to do my show? And then not provide a link or not provide any other information about the show. So I was very comfortable and confident with your approach, which is why I was able to give you a very direct answer first, initially, is because you gave me all the information that I needed to know. Most important thing. And so I was very comfortable with doing your show, or I didn't have any additional questions about, there was not a lot, I didn't have to do a lot of back and forth. And now, knowing more about your story and communicating with you is made it even better. I don't have any regrets about doing the show. I think it's pretty great. And if you wanted to do it again in the future, I would be more than willing to do it.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up the interview segment, I just want to say it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to building a friendship with you.
Absolutely. Same here.